Hello, my beautiful friends. I am feeling so many good tingles every time I check in with this new moon in Virgo. It's going on August 27th this year, and it's always a really good sign when I'm getting tingles. It means that something's connecting here. It means that something is clarifying. The wisdom we are seeking, the understanding we are seeking of our paths is coming in and helping us to see more clearly and connect some dots. And I think that the Virgo new moon every year is really important for this connective process because it's a bridge builder between the unconscious and the conscious mind. It's also a bridge builder between the hidden worlds within us, the unseen world, and the physical world that we move through and do things in. And I think Virgo serves this purpose so beautifully. It's also an initiation and a doorway into the deeper knowledge that we will be going through as we move into the later signs of the zodiac. So this is an important portal and doorway that we move through as an initiation and as sparking new understanding. And that is what really gets me excited about it. And before we even get into the aspects, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge Virgo's energy and the role that it plays in this whole structure. Because Virgo is associated with the archetypes of the goddess and the hermit. And both of these archetypes are about accessing ourself as our truest self, right? The self with the capital S, the spirit, the soul, without all the fractured identities that we often have to put on to move through the world. And so how do we do that, right? Both of these energies are about the initiation we go through when we face into our shadows and our fears with wisdom, and we move through them fully to come into a deeper sense of self-understanding. And that is some pretty intense homework, right? And of course, this new moon isn't going to be asking us to face every single shadow and just resolve it all and move on. But what it does do is help us to understand the bridges that we are walking across in our minds on a typical day, what bridges we are using, what bridges we would like to stop using, and what bridges we are wanting to build so that we can have a conscious understanding of our unconscious mind, and so that we can have a conversation between this world where we're moving around and performing different roles and our hidden unseen worlds. So I think this can be really, really helpful in getting a better symbiosis of these two things and to help them meld and work very well together. And like I said, this is also an initiation, so this can be a time of deeper understanding, releasing, and connection that can help us access the next stage of our journey more clearly. So I think Virgo energy in general can really, really help us do that. And a new moon like this is going to be helping us to see with a crystal clear eye where we are putting our energy. The big thing with this new moon in Virgo, there's one big aspect, and it is Mars in Gemini. Mars has just recently entered Gemini and is going to be having a resonancy in Gemini well into 2023. But that's another topic, another day, another story. The point here being that this Mars moment is going to be perfectly squaring this new moon. And I know in this community, squares are often associated with deep challenge, pain, and kind of frustration. And I just want to take a moment here to acknowledge that what this is really doing for us, this new moon Mars square in these mutable signs ruled by Mercury, the connector, the messenger, is that this is going to be about calling out our old social patterning, our old haunted houses, so that we can explore them and so that we can be with our truest self. This square helps us to really look at something that we are upkeeping. We're trying to continue the status quo placement of it in our lives. Maybe we're continuing to try and do work the exact same way. We're trying to maintain a specific relationship and keep it the same. We're trying to keep putting on the same costume because that's who people know us to be. We're trying to people please, or we're trying to keep people at bay by not being vulnerable and putting our armor on. Every one of us is going to have our own map of what that is, but there's something that we may be trying to continue to maintain because it's worked for us this long, and maybe it's even what people around us expect of us, or that we think we assume assume people expect of us. But is it serving us? A lot of times these things will start to pinch and feel really painful when we try to keep maintaining them. And I think probably each and every one of us knows exactly what those things are, whether it's a beauty routine, a certain way that we show up visually, or people pleasing, or trying to make everybody happy, or trying to be the life of the party, or whatever it is. This new moon helps us see this with clarity, look at it, walk through it with this deeper guidance, with the access of the deeper guide of the archetypes of the hermit and the goddess, both of these. And whichever one I think resonates with you, you can kind of imagine that entity and that energy walking you through this process, walking us through the architecture of this expectation of the status quo and helping us see it in the full light so that we know what to do with it in the coming months. We know how that change or that shift that we can feel imminently brewing is going to connect with us. And we will also get a better sense of what we are allowed to change, what we are allowed to let go of. A lot of this is going to have to do with the old social patterns that we have been using to survive. And that does go really deep. Most of us are people pleasers or put on our armor or try to keep up the status quo or don't want to show a different part of our artistic abilities because we want to survive. We don't want to be rejected, humiliated, and judged. We don't want to lose our security in the world. And what this new moon also is going to help us do is to explore that and to access a deeper sense of security within ourselves. And I think in essence, when you think about Mars and a new moon like this, in these mutable signs, that they're very interested and connected to wanting to get energy moving. There is a desire here to move things that are feeling a bit stagnated and stuck, to get it moving and moved through. It's felt through, acknowledged, walked through with the wisdom of our truest self, with the wisdom of our whole integral self that is not split into tiny shards and pieces. So what are we willing to step beyond in this new moon? That is the question. There is also another square going on, I will admit, in the fixed signs. And this is kind of a side note while I start to shuffle here. We have Uranus over in Taurus, often connecting with something, that is squaring off against Venus in Leo. And basically what I've noticed with this, like the bridge building, the connection between our unconscious mind and our conscious mind, our inner reality and our outer reality, how are these conversations going? Are they working together? Are they at odds? Are they in disagreement about what they think safety is, joy is, all of that? And how do we get them on the same page? Similarly, the Uranus energy of the innovator and the Venus and Leo energy of the heart need to sit down and have a conversation and acknowledge each other and find where they have common threads and where they actually want to work together to create something. And that is going to be kind of the work of this Virgo new moon in general. Where does it line up? Where do we feel like we can be our whole self in our hidden realm as well as in the external world? And where are we cutting ourselves up into pieces? So this is a fun exploration. It's one that's very vulnerable, and it can be sometimes really scary to think about if we were really to act on the things that would make us feel really whole and at peace. What will happen? How will it happen? Will it work out? Will people judge me? It's very easy to start going down those paths. But this is also just the freedom to just ask the questions without necessarily having to act on everything right in the current moment, and just opening up to letting ourselves build some new bridges and honor the fact that to be our whole self may mean letting go of some of the identities and costumes we've been wearing on the external world just to keep the status quo. Just entertaining that even for a moment. Knight of Swords. Very Virgo Gemini energy in the sense that that is about energy moving, truth and clarity wanting to come through. Let's pull another card to go with that. Knight of Wands. Okay, we've got these very young, high energy dive in there, get it done, don't think too much, just go for it energies. And the Emperor. Wow. So these are very much about forward motion. Emperor is a little bit more mature, a little bit more grounded and centered. The Knights over here, the Knight of Swords and the Knight of Wands, are about the kind of the rush that comes with knowing a truth and feeling the freedom and the rush of energy that comes when we know it. And how exciting it is to think about what we would do with that energy without all the fear and all the survival patterns that are trying to keep us safe so desperately. For me, these are the bold part of the equation. This is the bold voice that's just like, let's go for it. There's that Mars getting lit up and just saying, let's dive in. And even Virgo, I think Virgo is very much ready and willing to get in there and do the thing. This is energy that is eager and excited. So look for that. What is the eager and excited elements that keep popping up for you that maybe you're trying to ignore? Maybe it makes you really uncomfortable because it might unwind and unravel a different part of your life that is scary to let go of. Maybe you've just kind of put it on the back burner because you don't feel like you're worthy or allowed to pursue it. Whatever that thing is, though, that lights you up and that gives you those tingles, it wants your attention during this new moon, is what I'm seeing here with these Knights, because they are talking loud. Now, the Emperor does bring another energy to this. The Emperor is not a rushed energy. There is a maturity to this energy, which is speaking to feel the rush, feel the excitement, feel the tingles, feel that knowing, and then also take the time to let that process and become a part of your safety structure inside of yourself. So that when you're moving on things, it feels very stable and loving and centered and focused. The Emperor is also going to speak to this being a longer process. So while we might have those impulsive, really great visions, it's a great time to record a song, paint a picture, write something up, be creative, let those juices start to flow. It's just as important to remember that whatever knowing, whatever connective bridges are being built during this new moon as we walk through this doorway into the darker part of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere, that this is just the beginning of a new process. And one of the most important things is not to stay on the surface level with the things that are bringing us joy, but we want to connect the dots all the way down to our solar plexus, our root chakra, and all the things that make us feel secure and worthy of pursuing that excitement and that true self. And that's the real work here. That's the real way that we are going to be able to keep moving forward, is to go through that doorway with our wise guide who shows us where we feel unworthy of taking those actions or unworthy of just being ourselves in any given social situation. And this is what I'm working on here. Being a newbie in Sweden, I'm often in purely Swedish contexts. I'm the only American there. And I'm an innate people pleaser. It's something that it's just very deep in me. And I give my power away often because I want to make everybody else comfortable. And I want everybody to love me because I make them comfortable. I know so many of you can relate to this. And learning to make peace with just who I am right in this moment, where I am on my journey, and letting myself just be is something I'm really working deeply on, and really looking at all the shadows of how I have relied on that skill set of being able to be somewhat of a chameleon and being kind-hearted and really generous and really giving as the way that I've made it through. And how much that holds me back from being my truest self, and how much it exhausts me and drains my energy and doesn't allow me to access my true wild, free-spirited, funny self all of the time. So it's definitely a thing that I'm going to be exploring during this new moon myself. I'm so excited for it though. We're going to be doing an activation. I'm going to be helping us to find ways to get in touch with our spirit, our true self with the capital S, and visualize that so we can get the wisdom we need over on my Patreon. That's where I do all the deeper diving. We're going to be doing a lot of deep diving in the coming months when it comes to Mars retrograde, all the outer planet retrogrades, as well as some of the potent stuff coming up in the next 6 months. So if you're looking for more guidance, a great little community, I would love to see you over there. There's even a tier where we have live calls every month, a couple times a month, and we talk about different topics that have to do with tarot, astrology, well-being. It's a wonderful space. I'd love to see you there. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm trying out some different things over there. I'm just working on being myself and letting myself be. So I'd love to see you there, or you can find me on my email. I'll leave all the links for where to find me below. And of course, I would love it if you stuck around and subscribed so that we can have more chats just like this and go deep on all the things that give us mystery and meaning and storytelling in this life. I love you all so much. Have a beautiful Virgo new moon.